This Chinese cargo ship just got hijacked by Somali pirates. But what the Somali pirates didn't know is that 3 Chinese Navy ships were around the corner with the Indian Air Force providing support. Just for a moment, the pirates celebrated maybe their biggest catch in history with this cargo ship, but their celebrations were cut short and were quickly dealt with. Back in 2009, Somali pirates who are located 700 nautical miles away from the shore have captured a Chinese cargo ship. This incident only announced their determination to avoid foreign naval patrols in the Indian Ocean. The ship had 25 Chinese crew members on board and was taken over by pirates 550 nautical miles northeast of the Seychelles. At the time, the European Union's counter-piracy force was monitoring the ship from the air and has spotted at least 4 pirates on the ship's deck. The ship is heading towards the Somali coast, according to John Harbour, a spokesperson for the EU force. Pirates held at least 6 other ships in Somali waters and were expected more attacks as the sea became calmer after the summer monsoon season. Pirates have been focusing their activities near the Seychelles recently as there have been fewer strong winds there. They've been seizing ships from countries like Spain and Singapore. These pirates were able to operate so far from the shore because they use captured motherships to launch smaller, faster boats called skiffs. The vast area that pirates cover, including attacks near Oman, north of Somalia, makes it challenging for foreign navies in the region to stop them. In the first 6 months of the year, Somali pirate groups in the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean hijacked 31 ships, making millions of pounds in ransom payments. One ransom payment happened on October 5th when a Turkish ship with 23 people on board was released after being held for 3 months. The Seychelles asked for international assistance in dealing with piracy, which has reduced the amount of maritime traffic, especially in areas rich in tuna. Additionally, it was reported that some Spanish fishing boats near the Seychelles are employing former British soldiers as armed guards because the Spanish government does not allow its military to protect private ships. Then they decided to make a forward move. Somali pirates issued a warning that they might harm the crew of the Chinese ship called Darshin Hai if there's a military operation to rescue them. A pirate speaking from the ship via phone said, "We know the Chinese have positioned their warships in Somali waters to attack us. We're telling them not to take a risk with the lives of the young Chinese people on board. Frankly, we'll kill if we're attacked." The Darshin Hai ship was held by pirates and anchored off the Somali coast. It was captured in mid-October, about 550 miles northeast of the Seychelles. The pirates were asking for $3.5 million in ransom. The ship, operated by Qingdao Ocean Shipping Company and carrying 76,000 tons of coal from South Africa to India when it was hijacked, meant that this was one of the most valuable hijackings ever. After the ship was taken, Ma Zhaoshu, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, stated that China was doing everything possible to rescue the ship and its crew. Prior to this incident, pirates had attacked several Chinese-flagged ships. Between January and November 2008, Somali pirates targeted 7 Chinese ships. In one incident, the crew of Zhenhua 4, which is owned by the Shanghai-based Zhenhua Port Machinery Company, successfully fought off a pirate attack with the help of a helicopter from international forces. The crew used fire hoses and makeshift Molotov cocktails to defend against the pirates. When they returned to China, the company awarded each crew member $10,000 to recognize their brave response. Since January 2009, the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, has kept ships in the Gulf of Aden for 3 months at a time. They are there to help protect ships from pirates. These Chinese ships work separately from other international forces in the area. The 4th group of Chinese ships includes missile frigates named Manshan and Wenzhou, and a supply ship called Qingdaohu. The Chinese Navy has helped more than 1,100 ships from different countries, including Taiwan, by escorting them in this region. Hard to believe, right? There were 30 warships from 18 different countries that are part of international efforts to stop piracy in the Gulf of Aden, Somalia coast, and the Indian Ocean area. Some of these countries, like India, have been tough on pirates. For example, an Indian warship called INS Tabar destroyed a pirate ship that refused to listen to warnings and threatened to attack the Indian warship. French and American ships have also acted strongly against pirates who posed a danger to their citizens. French commandos rescued French hostages from a hijacked yacht, but the yacht's captain sadly lost his life. US snipers successfully saved the captain of the hijacked Maersk Alabama ship killing 3 Somali pirates in the process. In response, the pirates threatened to harm American and French crew members if they captured ships from these countries in the future. The hijacking of the Daeshin-Hai ship has put China in a difficult situation. Some people, like the hostages' families, want the government to rescue the crew, but China wasn't interested in using force like the French and US navies had done. Instead, China preferred to negotiate and pay a ransom to get the crew and ship back, which was a common way to deal with pirates in the Gulf of Aden. But why would they pay instead of taking them out? Here are 4 reasons why China didn't want to use force. Number 1, China respects international rules and doesn't want to go into another country's waters without permission from Somalia's legitimate government. Number 2, the Chinese Navy in the region only had 3 ships, including 2 missile frigates and a supply ship with helicopters. This wasn't enough for a rescue mission in a foreign place, and they didn't have good intelligence, surveillance tools, or air support. Number 3, at the time the Chinese Navy didn't have much experience in combat, especially in anti-piracy operations. If they tried a rescue and it failed, it would make them look bad and hurt their reputation for handling long-distance missions. And number 4, using force against pirates could make other countries in Southeast Asia, especially those that have disagreements with China in the South China Sea, worried. They might see China's decision to use force as a problem, especially if they know that the hijacked ship could be freed by paying a ransom. Even with these challenges, China still said it wants to fight piracy off Somalia and wants more cooperation with other countries. This proved that China wanted to play an active role in making the Indian Ocean safer. According to the Chinese Marine Search and Rescue Center, all 25 Chinese crew members and the Daeshin-Hai ship were safely rescued at 3 a.m. on December 28, 2009, Beijing time. The Chinese Naval Escort Fleet is now protecting the ship and will provide medical checkups for the crew, give them supplies, escort them and the ship to safe waters, and make sure they return to China safely as soon as possible. The Chinese government sent warm greetings to the rescued crew members and their families. The Chinese Foreign Ministry also reminded Chinese ships and their crews to stay away from dangerous areas and take safety measures to avoid accidents. But those attacks really went dormant for a while until another incident happened in 2017. In mid-March 2017, Somali pirates hijacked a fuel tanker off the coast of Somalia, marking their return to piracy. This was significant because there hadn't been a major pirate attack on a large ship since 2012. During this time of reduced pirate activity, several changes have occurred in the maritime regions of the Western Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden. One notable change is the increased presence of the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy in this area. China has been expanding its navy and is now operating in the Western Indian Ocean as part of its global naval efforts. They even established their first overseas naval facility in Djibouti with the purpose of having a supply base to support their counter-piracy operations in the region. The Chinese Navy, or Plan, saw this as an important moment in the Gulf of Aden, which China used to show its peaceful intentions in Djibouti. Together with Indian Navy ships on their way to the Mediterranean, a Chinese team from the Type 054A Plan Yulin ship with the number 569 responded to a distress signal from a Tuvalu-flagged cargo ship called OS-35. It turned out the ship had been attacked by pirates. According to Indian reports, the Indian Navy helped the Chinese naval team communicate and provided air support as they entered the ship to make sure it was safe. Indian Navy ships involved in this incident included the INS Mumbai, INS Tarkash, INS Trishul, and INS Aditya. Chinese reports, including ones in the state-run People's Daily, highlighted that the crew of the Yulin ship boarded the OS-35 to make it safe. People's Daily even showed pictures of the ship's crew thanking the Chinese rescue team, and it mentioned that the crew members used Chinese flags to express their gratitude. On the other hand, in the typically nationalistic Global Times, there was celebration. An article titled "Gulf of Aden Rescue Demonstrates Mission of PLA Navy" argued that China has been actively involved in international efforts to combat piracy in recent years. However, it mentioned that the Chinese Navy has not received much praise for its efforts and has faced suspicions from Western media and strategists. The article continued by saying that Western media and strategists have unfairly exaggerated China's intentions to strengthen its navy. It emphasized the importance for Beijing to build a strong navy capable of protecting important sea trade routes and safeguarding the country's growing international interests. China faced a public relations challenge as it expands its navy activities in foreign waters. China said it's in the Western Indian Ocean to protect global resources, much like the US and Indian navies claim to do. They call their base in Djibouti a support facility, and they want to show they're contributing positively. Interestingly, in two recent incidents in the Gulf of Aden, Chinese naval forces may have used lethal force against pirates. In one incident, two Somali pirates were killed while trying to hijack a ship by foreign naval forces. Around the same time, Chinese state media reported another Chinese naval vessel, the Plan Henyang, rescued a Panamanian-flagged ship called the Alhera. It's likely that the pirates killed by foreign naval forces were the same ones involved in the Alhera incident. The Chinese Navy, or Plan, had shown its presence in the region earlier during evacuation operations in March 2015, when the Saudi Arabia-led intervention in Yemen began. The Indian Navy also played a role in those evacuations. At that time, China emphasized that its expanding role in global affairs, including military operations, had humanitarian goals. In April 2015, an analysis of the PLA Daily mentioned Rear Admiral Du Jingchen, the deputy commander of the Plan at the time. He highlighted the various missions the Chinese Navy had undertaken in the Western Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean, including escorting civilian ships, evacuating Chinese citizens from Libya, helping transport chemical weapons from Syria, supplying emergency water to the Maldives, and evacuating Chinese nationals from Yemen. However, China faced a challenge because its actions closer to its own shores, especially in the South China Sea, contradict its efforts further away. Even if China's Djibouti base is meant for logistic support in operations like rescuing the OS-35 crew, its disregard for international law in the South China Sea and its selective approach to freedom of navigation, which treats civilian and military ships differently, make other countries like the United States and India question its intentions in the Indian Ocean. As of 2023, China boasts one of the world's largest navies. They frequently conduct operations in the waters around Taiwan, which can be seen as intimidating. Additionally, they collaborate on missions with the Russian fleet and provide security for their extensive cargo shipments. These shipments are a vital part of China's economy, and they can't afford to deal with pirate threats. China takes a no-nonsense approach to potential pirate encounters. Any such attempts are swiftly and decisively addressed. Their advanced technologies and joint exercises with Russia demonstrate their cutting-edge capabilities, setting them apart from others. While Western countries may criticize China for showcasing their military strength, China remains focused on protecting its most valuable asset, its economy. Piracy in the Indian Ocean has over time significantly decreased, and the shipping industry is planning to eliminate the high-risk area, according to maritime security experts. This reduction in risk zones around the Horn of Africa reflects the decline in actual piracy incidents. However, experts emphasize the need for continued naval efforts as other illegal activities persist, such as weapon smuggling and environmental crimes like illegal fishing. Particularly in Bab al-Mandeb, there have been reports of terrorist activities and attacks by groups like the Houthis against both military and civilian vessels. These groups are now using methods that were once only available to powerful states, like sea mines, limpet mines, anti-shipping missiles, and drones, which pose threats to navigation and shipping through critical maritime choke points. Bab al-Mandeb, which links the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea, sees about 4% of the world's oil supplies pass through it. Pirates may have shifted their activities to other illicit pursuits after naval coalitions made regional waters safer. This includes the smuggling of arms and contraband to the conflict in Yemen.